And that being said, that allows us to segue over to what Jon Ward's going to talk about, because there are some ideas that you might want to implement that will absolutely help you do that in terms of profitability and moving your own system forward. So, Jon, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Larry. And I think that segues nicely into kind of some thoughts that I had. And it is a great question. And even though the question is short, the last mile deliveries you must implement now. It's pretty detailed and involved, more so than one would first think. And the challenge is really going to be narrowing it down to 3 ideas, and I'll certainly explain why as I kind of go through these. But really, you want to think through the ideas that a company should be implementing. And the best way to do that is taking a look at, well, what is the state that we're in now? How have things changed? Larry, you mentioned it in the beginning. There's a shift going on. And so how are things changing now? And utilizing real world examples really helps paint that picture. And the first idea that comes to mind to consider is, how do you handle driver or staff shortages? And it's not necessarily an idea. It's a great question, because it's a question that companies continue to struggle with every day. It's something that I know Kyle mentioned. He's been in the industry for over a decade, and he dealt with that firsthand, for however many years, and still does. And so driver shortages are a huge, I don't want to say problem, but it's a day-to-day struggle or stressor that companies have to deal with. And really the best way to do that, and I know internally we use this phrase a lot, and I know that if we have people watching this from Elite Extra, they're getting sick of this word, but that control tower, that air traffic control center. And then from a dispatch platform, you really need to implement the idea that dispatch solution needs to become your control tower. And well, how do you do that? And so it does relate directly back to those driver shortages where, if you are short drivers, what can I do to help augment my driver fleet? And one of those things, it's a newer concept. I mean, people have thought about it for years. It's something that we've been doing for a few years now, but being able to call in crowdsourced fleets or local couriers to complete that, we'll refer to it as on-demand, that last mile delivery. I don't need somebody here all day. I don't need to have that. But what I do need is I need help getting these specific deliveries completed. And having Elite Extra, or a solution like Elite Extra, be your control tower really allows you to be able to manage, make sure that you're being efficient with your internal fleet, but then start to make sure that we have the ability to call in our emergency resources or our crowdsource fleets when that need comes up. And sticking with that control tower concept, and I know Kyle's going to be talking about it a little, quite a bit more in detail, but the reverse logistics side of things, obviously the focus is on deliveries. We got to get this delivery. We got to get this delivery. Well, how do I manage the reverse logistics? How do I get visibility as to things, parts, equipment, products that I need to pick up and I need to make sure get back to my warehouse? Because obviously it's costing money if it's just sitting out there. And so being able to manage the reverse logistics, utilize your driver force that you already have out in the field to swing by and pick up that part that Kyle's going to be referring to. So again, being able to manage both sides of the fence and being able to make sure that the deliveries are running as they should, but then also to make sure that the reverse logistics side is buttoned up as well. And really to make sure, from that control tower concept, the dispatch from anywhere, utilizing advanced technology that really is going to give you the power to dispatch from your home, from your office, from wherever you need to be. In these kind of uncertain times, we'll still call them that. Nobody really knows where they're going to be from day to day. If I've got somebody that's at home, but they're a great dispatcher, I want to make sure they have technology that's going to allow them to dispatch and do their job from anywhere, and give them different forms of the way dispatching can be handled, such as mobile dispatching, taking the ability for the drivers themselves to build, to optimize, to dispatch themselves, all from just basic scanning on a basic device. And so those are all, a couple, I think, real world examples that really kind of address that first idea on how to handle driver or staff shortages. You just got to give everybody, you got to have options in which ways can get done. You can't have a cookie cutter out of the box solution. You have to have a solution that's going to be able to give you options and be able to conform and configure to your workflow. And then another idea, that should be interested is really addressing the trends, in contactless delivery and social distancing. I know, obviously, Larry, you mentioned it in the beginning. That's a thing that, you have to be thinking about that. And really that becomes important at that point of delivery when you're having that interaction with that end customer. And so photo capture, again, that is a feature that has been available for years, but really was used sparingly by users because, you know, obviously digital signature capture was the way to go. Well, now with obviously social distancing and contactless deliveries, photo capture has by far risen to the top as one of the premier ways to get a proof of delivery. And so you have the ability to, you want to have the ability to take a photo, basically verify where are you delivering that product or part or whatever you might be delivering. And then to take that a step further, being proactive, utilizing photos with our contactless deliveries. Basically ingesting a photo, allowing the driver when they pull up to that company to have a photo right on their device that's going to show them this is where you need to deliver that part or that product. And so being able to be proactive with your user base to be able to just kind of make sure that, hey, we're going to validate, you're going to see a photo of where you should deliver it, and then you can take a photo as to where you delivered it as well. So again, those are just a few things that come up when thinking about contactless deliveries and social distancing. And then one of the biggest ones is customer notifications, proactively providing information to the customers throughout the entire logistics process. They expect it now more than ever. They want to know, when are you going to be walking up to my front door? It might be, what do you look like? It might be, what are you bringing me? But they want to know so that they can prepare, when are you going to be walking up to my front door? And so being able to do that through different avenues, like, you know, obviously text or email notifications, e-commerce integrations, and things like that. So being able to proactively notify your customers that you're going to be coming. And then the final one, and Larry mentioned it in the beginning, and I'm glad he did, because it really dials into kind of that final idea that you need to really start thinking about, is that age or other classification verification. Everything is going to deliveries. You know, whether you're delivering class 1 narcotics or alcohol, there has to be a validation. There's a lot of liability built around that. And so you need to be able to validate that you are checking, you are confirming that this is the person, this is who should be accepting the delivery, and they are of age or other classification. They're using a valid identification. You know, they are of age, whether it's 18, 21, whatever it might be. And there's solutions out there, and that's one of the more advanced features that Elite Extra provides, is the ability to scan and be able to validate, you know, age and right at the point of delivery. And so that was a great segue that Larry did right in the beginning, because that is something that people aren't really thinking about right now. Right now, it's just simply, hey, you know, we have a product, we need to give it delivered. Well, what about the liability? And so that validation, that scanning validation, has really evolved from the signature capture to the photo capture that I just mentioned, to now where scanning of driver's license and photo recognition are becoming primary, accountability for that proof of delivery. And so being able to think through that process is certainly one of the ideas that I think people really need to start thinking about now, because companies now more than ever, you know, have to make sure that they're partnering with solutions that are continuing to evolve and push the envelope, so that, you know, that they're truly advanced solution. So the ideas that I kind of touched on above are really ideas that first come to mind. But for a company, those ideas might differ from department to department or location to location. And so overall, you just want to make sure that you're partnered with technology solutions like everybody on this panel, that are able to pivot and provide options to every workflow and process within your company. So you just want to make sure that you have those ideas, you're able to implement them. But obviously, there's going to be additional ideas and implementations that you can do, because things will change 3 months or 6 months down the road.